to get underway. Round 7. Both teams undefeated. Subiaco kicking to the right of screen in the opening quarter. Ricky Mott, formerly of the Sydney Swans, to go at it first of all. Runs at Lucas, wins it down at the second attempt. Clinton Gardner, almost a baseball dribble, bouncing it up to his own advantage. Gives it to a stationary Metropolis, who punts long and high up towards half forward. Tapped out by Pat. Chance here for Tapua Mantameri. A hand pass out wide towards the boundary line. They're able to keep possession of the ball. It comes back to Tapua Mantameri. Thornton runs at an opponent. Mott had to sit and wait for the bounce. His hand pass missed Clucas. Mott then shins it, I think accidentally, out over the boundary line on the member's wing. The youngster, you have to imagine, looking at that shirt, that he's barracking for the Bulldogs. Ball tossed in right below our broadcast position. Comes back towards the boundary line. Tapua Mantameri from his knees to Clucas. Quicksilver hand pass to Bottrell, who rode a heavy one after he rubbered the kick along the line, and we'll have another throw in.
The experience of Tom Bottrell no doubt will be valuable as this game unfolds this afternoon, because it could be a very close one. Mott and Lucas, as we've said, their duel will be pivotal. Mott got the ball down to Ugle, a hurried kick to centre half forward. Maloney was underneath it for a long time, did well, and then hit the ground running. So Maloney drives Subiaco over the centre of the ground. Pap was there, taken in a tackle by McLaren, and I think that he will get the benefit of the doubt he does.
Player we didn't speak about pre-game, but Joe McLaren making his debut for South Fremantle. 57 games with St Kilda and 12 with the Kangaroos in the AFL.
Now, Pap has been given a free kick. Didn't see what that was for. He feeds it off to Toya. Low pass to half forward. Kane Miller, who's played with Peel and Perth, feeds it off to Cosden, who's been in great form. That's a beautiful pass. Great diving effort by Beattie, who's hurt himself. Now, he's got a very heavily strapped left shoulder. He came down awkwardly. That was a great attempt. Let's look at that in replay. That hurts when you land on the footy, Blackie.
It was one of those ones where he knew that he really had to squeeze it into his body, because he knew that he was going to have some fairly good contact with the ground, and it enabled him to be able to just keep the ball in without the ball spilling out from his chest.
Anthony Beattie, playing in his 34th game. He's a talented player. Has not been a regular member of Subiaco's senior team, has had to fight his way into playing good football at the moment, and he's very dangerous around goals.
You need to play good football when you wear white boots.
Let's see how they serve him kicking for goal. He's going to have to kick from about 45 metres. Sends it on its way a little bit right, but I think it's accurate enough. It is. Subiaco, after getting something of a contentious free kick just forward of centre to Shane Path, have finished off with a goal, the first of the match. South Fremantle yet to score.
Well, it was good play. You mentioned Pap getting that free kick in the middle of the ground, and he played on very quickly to Luke Toya, who passed it nicely to Kane Miller. And when that kick was coming into Kane Miller, I don't know if Sean Tinsley, who's his immediate opponent, but I don't know if he was watching where the ball was instead of watching his opponent, but Kane Miller was able to get a good 10 metres on him, and when Luke Toya's got the ball in his hand, he hits targets, and that's exactly what happened.
Subiaco drawing first blood on the scoreboard. Mott up and flicks it back over his shoulder. Lucas couldn't control it. Hutchison, the 100-gamer, gave it off quickly. Smithers' hand pass goes straight into the waiting arms of Lucas. A high, wide left footer going up there, knocked down by South Fremantle's McLaren. They work it round the outer side. Mark dropped out there by Bootsma, but he's able to regather the football. Gets it off to a teammate who gets it forward, and on the end of it is Marty Atkins. Closing in on the game's record for South Fremantle, goes low and sliding to his knees. The mark paid to Gilmore, who's a long, penetrating left footer. So from 50 metres out on a reasonably still day, Daniel Gilmore should be able to make the distance as he slides in and takes it centimetres above the turf. Daniel Gilmore, as you can see on the Fremantle rookie list, had a great first-up season last year in WAFL League football. This to level the scores, 4.5 minutes in. It's on the way, and it is 1 goal all. The undefeated Subiaco and South Fremantle all tied up 4.5 minutes into the opening term.
Well, I think that gives a fairly clear indication about the breeze. There was absolutely nothing there. That was gun barrel straight. A beautiful kick outside 50. Daniel Gilmore playing across half forward at the moment, and can be a... actually, he's going into the goal square now, but can be a marking target for South Fremantle. with Marty Atkins at centre half forward. He is opposed to Daniel Metropolis. Marty Atkins having a clear height advantage in that duel.
Yes, it certainly was a good pass to Gilmore, and one of the great strengths of his game is his long kicking, as Glenn said. Mott again wins it down to Clucas. This is good football by South Fremantle. A clean clearance from the middle of the ground. No mark taken up forward. The target there was Gilmore. Surgeon had a chance, but his kick was smothered. Goes out toward the boundary line. Surgeon followed it up, but to no avail. The whistle has gone, and it will be thrown into play at right half forward for South.
Great play by Neil Marshall there. Probably renowned more for his finishing skills, but terrific 1%er being able to smother that ball.
Lucas this time opposed to Atkins, who got over the top of him. Well done to the veteran. Gilmore again took possession, then was dispossessed. Bottrell toe poked it forward. Metropolis under a lot of pressure. Surgeon was in there, so too Gilmore. Tried to throw the ball out of the pack. Surgeon. Slick hands now to Jones, who gets a left boot into it. Very, very high to full forward. I thought I heard the umpire call play on. Marty Atkins in sock style tried to hack the ball out of the air. That did not look very delicate at all, and probably the result flattered him.
Wasn't the right decision. He had plenty of time to take possession, and with the size of Marty Atkins, he could have just barreled the two Subiaco players in front of him and just slotted it through, really.
So right full forward for South Fremantle, Hay behind Lucas. Lucas won it, comes back to Hay, and Adam Hay shoots on goal. Takes a slight off break and goes through for a minor score. South Fremantle at the 6.5-minute mark of the first term have the lead 1-1 to Subiaco's 1 straight. A day for the youngsters.
It's great to see them supporting their local team. Daniel Metropolis looks like he's ready for a day at the beach. Well, the sun protection cream goes short, and Jukovic takes the mark. Still deep inside the defensive 50, Subiaco. Jukovic short again, presenting himself and marking on the chest is Braun, wearing number 44, and he gives it off to Josh Wooden. So two Eagles teammates linking up. Wooden breaks the tackle and then kicks up, clears the members' wing. Big lead from South. They spoil the ball. Bottrell went in and came out without it. Godden may have been grabbed but not in possession. Slung out quickly by Ambrose to Pat. Back to Braun. Grubbers one inside 50. Marty Atkins took his eyes off it at the crucial moment. That allowed Miller in. Toya, hand pass to Beattie. Can he kick it? He does. Beattie gets his second. He has Subiaco's entire scoreline. The Lions back in front, 7.5 minutes in.
Well, terrific teamwork across half forward there, and again, virtually the same people involved, with Kane Miller being involved with a handball. Pap just getting his foot to the ball, double handle situation, and I'd like to see Marty sometimes just get his body over the footy and pick it up. But Kane Miller's quick handball, and then Beattie receiving a handball from his Subiaco teammate. Slotted through another nice goal, and good finisher at the moment, young Beattie, finishing very well.
David Galt is going to have to tighten up down there. South Fremantle getting momentum from the centre of the ground through Ricky Mott. Again, he's up, getting his hand to it. Sharked by Webb, gives it off to Godden. Hurry kick by Tony Godden. To left half forward flank. Ambrose had a couple to beat. Thornton favoured by the bounce. Goes to Tapua Mantameri. Back to Thornton. Some defensive hand passing. Eventually it ends up with Hutchison. That's an untidy kick up towards centre wing. Put his teammate out there under a lot of pressure. That was McLaren. Eventually Braun, who's opposed to Jones in this first quarter, goes along the boundary line. No free kick, maybe in the back. Thornton picks it up, centering pass, and Sean Tinsley's taken the mark. Still at right half back flank for South Fremantle. That's a well-directed kick up towards centre wing. Surgeon dropped short what he should have taken. Gardner, hand pass to Braun. He's under a lot of pressure still. Picking it up out there was Webb, threw it on his right boot. But again, Subiaco racking up their smothers in this first term.
Well, a beautiful kick, Phil, certainly from defence to young Surgeon, and just really needed, I mean, the kick was well weighted. He just dropped what he should have taken.
Mott cleverly down to the attacking side of that pack. Tapua Mantameri was taken in a tackle. Godden gathers the ball. Hurried kick, bounced off the chest there of Ambrose. In dispute, Miller went in, got rid of the South Fremantle player. Cossum got it out to Gardner. Nice looking foot pass. Well, it was a bit too sharp there for Smith, but Toya, who's roving the crumbs beautifully, saw his kick beautifully weighed out towards Pickett. Couldn't quite gather it on the first bite. Now he goes by hands. Kane Miller's getting amongst the possessions. Shoots on goal, and that would have been a goal, or is it? It's been marked right on the line.
Almost looked like he was over the line to me, Phil, but...
Brad Smith, who has kicked 20, will certainly bring up his 21st.
When you're the leading goal kicker, you don't let those go. You take
full rank.
You mark them.
In fairness, too, he had his back to the goal line the whole way. He probably wasn't too aware where the goalpost was.
As you see here, Kane Miller was on target. Certainly would have been a goal, but Brad Smith did the right thing. And he will just trundle in and kick easily Subiaco's third goal. So Brad Smith now has got 21 WAFL goals this season and giving terrific service to Subiaco as their spearhead.
And you're spot on, Glenn. He didn't know where the goal square was, and really any player that's in the goal square and you don't know where the goals is, you should be instructed to go for the mark no matter what. Don't leave the ball. If it hits the deck and bounces, we've seen the balls bounce backwards, straight up, and you should always attempt to take the mark. But good play. Good work by Kane Miller again across centre half forward there. Put on a terrific shepherd to allow that ball to go forward.
Subiaco getting a little break early. The margin 11 points. Can they go forward from the bounce? The Bulldogs. Bootsma left the ball behind. Braun is there buried. The ball to be bounced again in the centre square.
Glenn, just on Brad Smith, apparently he had tonsillitis during the week and didn't train too often, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes today.
Ball bounce, crooked, favours Mott, double palm down. Ugle zigzags through the congestion in the centre of the ground, pulls it across the body. Metropolis going back with the flight, fell over. Maloney goes to the boundary line. Certainly that was his intention, but the umpire saying that's okay. The ball to be thrown in. Right full forward for the Bulldogs. They trail by 11 points. They're 1 goal 1. Subiaco an unblemished 3 straight goals. Back towards the boundary line from the ruck contest. Webb and Hutchison both see it back over.
Glenn, I'm just trying to find Josh Wooden at the moment. He's right at the action. There you go.
Wearing number 26 today. Josh Wooden 26, Braun 44. 2 Eagles players. He's playing on Brad Bootsma at the moment, Josh Wooden. Bootsma, a former Fremantle player, delisted, but made a late debut, mature age debut, and there is Wooden giving it off by hand to Gardner. Ball very close to the boundary line. Wooden tries to bullock his way through. Could almost be penalised for holding it there. He seemed to be more intent on breaking the tackles than trying to dispose of the football, but the umpire giving him the benefit of the doubt.
That gentleman had his opinion. It looked like a touchdown to me. Boundary throw in it, right half forward flank for South Fremantle. Adam Hay, Lucas, they shared that one. Wooden, as he fell, got a hand pass away, but Bootsma, his marksman, got the crumbs, went looking further afield there for Surgeon, but the hand pass ineffective, and once more the boundary umpire will do his thing. Brilliant conditions for football this afternoon at Subiaco Oval. Richard Maloney picking up young Surgeon in the first quarter. Lucas from behind Hay. Klukas got it to Webb, kicks it across his body blindly, and getting back there is Jukovic, who has taken the mark, goes down towards half-back. Neil Marshall was tested overhead, but he is a quality player. Has really been a terrific player for Subiaco in defence, especially over the last few years. Goes short to Lucas, best and fairest last year, and probably leading in the votes so far this year. Back to Marshall, raking left foot kick. Ambrose on the end of it, couldn't take the mark. Miller's been very prominent. Concedes ground to Godden. Maloney squeezes a hand pass back to Miller. He really is covering some ground, goes with all the long kick to centre half forward. That's the position he's holding. Goal to the back of the pack, goes to soccer the ball away from the danger zone. Didn't get much distance at all. Here's Cosm, who kicks it goal, and Subiaco got 4 straight. Well, you don't give Chad Cosm too much breathing space around the goals, and that was not a good defensive effort. Rather untidy, I thought, by David Galt, who does know better, I'm sure. He'll be disappointed. But Subiaco all of a sudden starting to look very, very strong. 14 minutes gone in the first term. And
that man on the screen, Kane Miller, very influential in this quarter, no doubt about that. He's covering a lot of ground. But what's sort of happened with that sort of soccering situation is if you do miss it, you're in all sorts of trouble. And he made very poor contact. It covered no distance. What's wrong with getting your body over the football, keep tapping it away towards the boundary, and just following it up with tapping it on and trying to get to the defensive side?
Sean Tinsley, I think, needs to try and tighten up down back at the moment on Kane Miller, who has already racked up 6 or 7 possessions. We've only played about 15 minutes in the opening term.
He is a very fit athlete, Kane Miller.
At his third club, having previously been with Peel and Perth. Lucas got a hand pass away to Puamantameri. Running off half-back McLaren. Goes through the centre circle. One bounce, two bounces. No one wants to come towards him. Now he goes to Marty Atkins, who'll get crunched by Metropolis. Ball spills loose. Picked up by Braun. To Wooden. The old give and go. Back to Michael Braun. He goes to the man again. Miller. Gee, he led 15 metres in advance of Tinsley. Played on. Kicked into Bottrell. Now Miller's got a couple to beat. Ugle, one of them. Falls over. Almost into his back was Cossum. Sounds though able to rescue the situation from half-back. Surge and a grub and kick. Wooden on the end of it. Run down from behind, holding the ball. Good chase by Gilmore. Allowed the advantage. Surgeon inside 50. South Fremantle have the mark. But going back a moment or so, again, Miller led Tinsley, and when he took the mark, his marksman was 15 metres behind him. Webber's played on here. Gilmore, right foot kick, not a great effort. It'll go out of bounds.
Both sides just at the moment making some errors. The give off to Gilmore on that occasion was the wrong decision, I think. Blackie?
For sure.
It's an absorbing first quarter. South Fremantle just taking some time to settle down. They need a goal whilst they're in attack. Hay does the ruck work. Atkins the target. Soccers the ball off the ground. This is a better effort. It goes to the goal square. Gilmore beaten to it by Marshall. That's good football by Marshall. And if indeed those two are playing on each other this afternoon, it will be a good duel as Marshall finds Braun. Another good duel out there. Braun, much more the senior over his young opponent in Clint Jones, who has been promising this year for South Fremantle. Braun finding Ambrose on the lead ahead of Thornton. Feeds it off now to Maloney. The skipper goes with a long penetrating left foot kick up to the half-forward line. Bounced off the chest of Smith. He got a hand pass only as far as Bottrell. Now Galt fires a hand pass into Wood McLaren to Puamantameri running off half-back, nearly in the middle of the ground. Short pass, not particularly accurate. Still should find South Fremantle possession. Webb's there, fumbled. Defensive hand pass to Ugle. They'll get away with this South Fremantle as Ugle squeezes a kick away. Very, very blind kick. Poor effort. Lucas on the end of it shares it now with Marshall, and South Fremantle have turned it over very, very badly. Maloney to Wooden. Subiaco all of a sudden have got the runners and got South Fremantle out of position. Long kick. Pat went to ground. He needed to keep his feet because it allows Ugle in. Swooping hand pass. Surgeon again. Goes from left half back flank up very, very high, and well done to Clucas. Well, he had Tony Godden to beat, and Clucas did brilliantly overhead. Now he finds Bottrell in the shadows of one of the huge light towers here at Subiaco Oval. Centre of the ground. Tommy Bottrell looking for a way forward. Richard Maloney standing the mark. Bottrell goes sideways, concedes a bit of ground. That was a terrible effort. Ercegovic under a lot of pressure. He made the play. Now Ambrose allows Smith into the action. Gives the hand pass away. Now Smith's kick into the pocket. Good strong mark to Beattie. A little bit further out than where he kicked his first goal. He's marked about 47 metres out, and he'll have to kick from at least 50.
Well, that was clever. He was partially behind his opponent on that occasion, but just at the right time gave him a little bit of a push in the side, and really to put his hands up and take it one bite was a terrific effort.
Some of the disposal errors on a day such as this. I mean, the kick from Bottrell, who really has played a lot of football, and John Northey would be disappointed with it, conceded it, and this is where it's ended up. Beattie, what a start this would be. 3 kicks from 3 goals. If he's accurate, gets plenty on it, and has just pushed it a little right. He's returned 2 goals, 1. Subiaco 4-1. They lead South Fremantle by 3 goals. 18.5 minutes gone in the first term.
Well, the thing between the two teams at the moment is the way Subi brings the ball through the midfield. They've got a very open forward line, and their key forwards are actually leading their opponents to the ball down the other end. Very congested. They're bombing the ball up, and you've got Subiaco players inside their defensive 50.
Saw a good shot a moment ago, looking down the ground at the South Fremantle huddle. The shrapnel explodes. They break in different directions. Hay, the target, drops the mark. Kept alive by Toya, not quite. The ball to be thrown in. South Fremantle being jumped early in this game. The margin out to an even 3 goals at the moment. Not far from time on in the opening term. Lucas lurking back on the members' wing, a kick behind play, so Ambrose goes in to do the ruck work for Subiaco. The ball won't come away from that contest, and we'll have a bounce. Some South Fremantle players down on the ground. In the background there, is Smithers. In the foreground, Sean Robinson. Ball bounced again on the attacking 50 for Subi. Miller, creative punch. Cossum's a left footer. If he can gather, he's in business. Under pressure. Beattie snaps for his fourth. Has he got it? No. He's got 2 goals too, but he's seeing a lot of the football in the opening term.
A real live wire. We saw David Galt. Well, I don't think we've got vision of him, but David Galt came from the ground just a few moments ago. So John Northey deciding that perhaps Galt not the right matchup for Beattie, who's in rare form. McLaren breaks for Ercegovic, but he ignores that and then goes very, very short. Finds Hutchison, the 100-game man. Hutchison doesn't know where to go. South Fremantle going defensively again. Ercegovic. This time he goes for distance, looking for Adam Hay. Lucas over the top of him. Hay dropped what he should have taken. Lucas swoops on it. Gives it now to Maloney, who goes with depth into the pocket. A one-on-one down there. Smith hasn't knocked away from him. That was good defensive footy by Tinsley. And Subiaco at right full forward will see the ball thrown into play.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the right option by Maloney. He had 2 or 3 better options in the centre part of the ground.
Boundary throw in. The ball hit the ground. No one really wanted to swoop on it. It was Tinsley who got the clearing kick, but only as far as Lucas. Playing cleverly that kick behind the play. Goes with hands to Toya. He's been prominent. He's always dangerous. Goes with a long kick on goal. It's coming back. Coming back, just not enough. Narrowly misses to the near side. But Luke Toya, another of the Subiaco mobile players who needs to be watched very carefully this afternoon. 21 minutes gone, Subi 4-3, South 1-1.
Certainly, and good play. He tried to get a little more distance, as in covering the ground. He tried to get onto that right foot, went inside the 50 and just made his angle a little bit sharper. That probably caused the problem.
Some let-offs for South Fremantle. Subi started with 4 straight goals. They followed with 3 consecutive behinds. Kick in favours the outer side. Ercegovic spoiled from behind by Lucas and a boundary throw-in. Jacob Surgeon has seen a fair bit of the footy in the opening term.
What do you think his nickname would be, Glenn?
Brain.
Gee, you guys are original.
Just as a guess. Might be Freddie, who knows. Ball thrown in. Miller palms it down to the front. There is Surgeon. Hand passes away to a teammate under a bit of pressure, Jones. Gives it off then to Hutchison. Up towards centre-half forward, chipping in front of Mott Marshall. Out-muscled, if it had been body on body, so he worked his way in front. Now he hand passes to Ryan. 1 bounce, then a low-level left footer up towards Smith on the lead. Bacon goal square if he gets on in a hurry, which he does do now. Players flooding back. Beattie is back there. It clears him and hits the post. So 4 straight goals to kick off. And now Subi 4 straight behinds to follow.
Subiaco's setup certainly very good. They're able to bring the ball inside their offensive 50 with some precision, and they're giving each other plenty of room so they can run in the lead into space.
South Fremantle to kick into play. Not a particularly good one down there. Here's a chance for Maloney. Did well, but then fell over. Miller was into lens support, and the ball trapped underneath that pack of 4 and not coming out. There is Kane Miller, number 30. Richard Maloney just helping him to his feet, but he has been something of a revelation in the first quarter so far, working very, very hard, bringing players around him into the game. Something that South Fremantle hadn't been able to do at the other end of the ground. Miller now doing some ruck work, once and then twice. Lucas couldn't get it to his boot, then he was held without it. Well, so I thought the tackle was on. It was one of those 6 of one, half dozen of the others. Lucas with the free kick goes to Hay. Now to Tapua Mantameri. Look at the turn of speed from Shane. Tapua Mantameri steadies with a bounce, goes to the half-forward line. They've been breaking down here. Gilmore, 3rd bite, did well post to Marshall. In fact, Jukovic the man for him this afternoon. Gilmore on with it quickly. Goes to the lead there of Mott. Marshall, well, I thought Marshall had the first bite at it, and so did Neil Marshall. Let's have a look at this. That's Jukovic behind Gilmore. Gathered that was certainly a mark. Not too sure about the one after that. But Gilmore, one of the few shining lights up forward for South Fremantle so far. Now he's kicked a long goal already. This is Ricky Mott, who should really get it. Has dragged it a bit to the right, too much to the right, and South Fremantle, really needing goals, have kicked their second behind their 1-2-8. The margin is exactly 20 points in favour of Subi.
And Ricky Mott is opposed now to Neil Marshall, and he should be the go-to player. They're playing him deep, tall on a lot smaller player.
Speaking of deep, it's where Metropolis goes deep into the outer back pocket. Josh Wooden with the ball. Directly behind him, the race he knows pretty well, where the Eagles run on and off Subiaco Oval. Wooden goes wide, coming down a long way from half forward. In fact, gathering it left half back on the bounce is Ambrose. Now he swings it towards Braun. Collision coming up. Fickle bounce. Tinsley had to sit and wait. Did well. Knocked it down to Tapua Mantameri. He goes very wide. Gilmore in space marks. He's a left footer and he's a long raking left footer. This time, no, he goes short. Mott on the lead. Free kick taken high.
It was an accident.
Ryan actually picks himself up a little bit the worse for wear. Number 22 on the right of screen, just disappearing. Umpire Greg Bandy in there separating bodies. Yep. Ryan from the front, but the initial infringement was from Marshall over the shoulder from behind. So Mott, like a garment in a washing machine, copying it from all sides there, but he shakes off the trainers. And let's hope he can make a better fist of it from the Bulldogs' point of view than he did from a little bit further out about 2 minutes ago.
Gee, you earned that free kick, Glenn, didn't he? Got it from behind from Marshall.
Showed good courage, though, to continue through the line of the football.
Yes, he did.
Ricky Mott takes a deep breath. Souths need this one. They trail by 20 points. 26 minutes into the opening term. Two undefeated teams meeting here in round 7. Mott stabs at it. Well, next time he might split the middle. He's gone left and now he's gone right. As a result, the third behind for the Bulldogs.
Well, they're doing the right thing. Ricky Mott opposed to Neil Marshall. There's certainly a height difference, and he's the go-to player. But when he gets those opportunities, he's just got to put those through.
Well, he's been on the lead, Blackie. Perhaps they should be trying to kick the ball higher to him and expose the lack of height. Now, there's been a free kick down the ground. Metropolis had the ball in the goal square, and I didn't see what the
Lucas was being infringed at centre half back.
I beg your pardon, Lucas has got the free kick, so he's at centre half back. Short to the wing, Braun covering a bit of ground. Goes again with the three-quarter pass to Metropolis, who's run down from full back, gets a good bounce. So Daniel Metropolis with a hand pass. Shane Papp likes to kick long goals. This time he goes short, and it wasn't a very good kick at all. He was looking for Brad Smith, but his immediate opponent in Dino Segovic, former state full-back. Turns defence into attack. He's found the youngster in Jones, goes with a thumping left foot kick up towards the half-forward line. Gilmore waited for it. Now he goes after it. He's got 3 Subiaco players to beat, keeps the ball in play. Well, momentarily, yes, he does. Hutchison was there. Braun put his head down. Nearly had it taken off. In fact, it was Luke Toyer who was dumped bodily over the boundary line. Still trying to fight his way back into the Fremantle Dockers lineup. Adam Hay gets caught behind Lucas. It comes down to the front of the pack. Lucas is there. Clever little hand pass. Jones chops at a tackle, then goes with a long searching hand pass. Went to Gilmore. Now Ugle swats the ball forward, but only as far there as Ryan, who was taken in the tackle. Gardner it was. It goes to Cosm. South Fremantle supporters thought it should have been a holding the ball decision. Webb eventually got it to Jukovic, goes with a short pass, and Braun has taken the mark. Between centre half back and left half back flank. Got Ambrose out very wide. He wants players to run towards him. The umpire urges him to get on with it quickly. Goes down towards centre wing, and the mark has been taken out there by Miller. Still covering a lot of ground. He'll be tired at quarter time. That was not a good kick. Went looking for Wood and chipping in and taking the mark. There was Clucas. Low pass into centre half back. McLaren has been useful through the middle. He's going to have to hurry. Just got the kick in, did McLaren. Not a particularly good one. Put his forwards under a lot of pressure. The ball was worked forward by Surgeon, and now Adam Hay has taken the mark just forward of centre. Adam Hay, still a couple of kicks from goal. South Fremantle being kept out pretty well by Subiaco. The umpire called him to play on. He was in the act of kicking anyway. Goes to full forward, no mark taken. Siren time. Ryan Webb just couldn't make that one stick. Disappointing first quarter by South Fremantle. Subiaco have done well in contrast. 4 goals for 28. They lead South Fremantle 1-3-9 at the margin, 19 points.
Centre bounce, a crooked one, favours Lucas, wins it down. Jones runs into his own teammate there in Webb, but they manage to get it across to Bootsma. This is the start they need. If it's accurate, it is. A goal inside 20 seconds. South Fremantle get their second and get back to within 13 points. The leading possession getters in the opening term for Souths, 8 apiece to Tapua Mantameri and Clucas, Thornton and Surgeon each with 7. And for Subiaco, 8 to Braun, 6 to Miller and 5 each to Maloney and Wooden.
Well, it was certainly a good start, a good clearance, and that's probably an area they've been falling down, is certainly their clearances from stoppages. And on that occasion, Ryan Webb, who a couple of weeks ago, Phil, we saw kick 4 goals against South Fremantle, being influential a couple of weeks ago, getting involved very early, and he needs to get his hands on the football to Bootsma, who kicked a very nice goal.
Yes, if they can get that ball into Bootsma's hands more often, they certainly will get the benefit from it. Maloney got first hands in the middle of that pack, but unfortunately he was going nowhere. And
probably one thing they haven't been doing well, they have been kicking short and turning the ball over. They need to get players to carry the football through the lines, and like Brad Bootsma, who can kick 55, 60 metres.
Yes, and if they do that, Blackie, as John Northey was saying, they're certainly not out of it. Mott is giving them something in the middle of the ground. Toya had it, then lost it. Webb again with his hand pass, this time not so good. Hutchison to Clucas, put him under pressure. He's still under a lot of pressure. The ball nearly came out. In fact, it came out to Jones, to Webb, now to Clucas. So South Fremantle have done well there in the tight situation. It was Jones, the youngster, went looking for Bootsma once more, knocked away from him by Wooden. South Fremantle supporters thought that might have been in the back as Wooden's clearing hand pass, in fact, cleared the white line. Josh Wooden and Bootsma, interesting duel that will be this afternoon. Bootsma getting early points in this second term. Long kick on goal that split the middle. Again, Lucas and Mott doing battle. Pickett was in there, got it out to Maloney. Maloney with a grubbered kick away from the pack. Braun was met solidly there by McLaren, and Clucas was taken high. Now the advantage will be played here. Ugle with a good hand pass to Tapua Mantameri, one of the stars of the first term. Bootsma, can he do it again? He's on the run from 50, kicks at goal and has put it through. Free kick Subiaco.
Josh wouldn't be happy about that. He wouldn't want to concede 2 goals to Bootsma in the opening 2 minutes.
Well, Adam Hay infringed against Neil Marshall down there. Marshall with the free kick has found Cossum. He was a goal scorer in the first quarter as well. He's run out of ground. He was well hemmed in on that occasion down there in the forward pocket. I think it might have been by Surgeon. No, Surgeon it was indeed. We see it there in not slow replay, but fast replay. If he had been that quick, he might have got away, Blackie. Over the top, Webb, no whistle. South Fremantle player was in possession, or deemed to be in possession. Jukovic got it to Cossum, and now back to Jukovic. So Subiaco from half-back have got it out of trouble beautifully. Beattie kicked 2 goals in the first quarter. This time leads his opponent, Ed Adams, to the footy. He's at left half-back. Finds Braun. Braun chips the hand pass away. Here's Nikoski, change of direction, got him clear. Long searching left foot kick to the half-forward line. Ambrose should run onto this one ahead of Thornton. Defensive hand pass, Toya, usually very constructed. This is a low pass, beautiful pass to Brad Smith. Got down on his knees, and he would have delighted in accepting that foot pass from Luke Toya.
Well, that was a beautiful kick, really, because Luke Toya's immediate opponent in Tommy Bottrell was going to smother the ball, and Toya did it very well, keeping it extremely low, but putting enough power in it to get the distance.
So the dream start for South Fremantle shattered with a free kick given away right on the goal line by Adam Hay. Now here's Brad Smith, who can drive another one home for Subiaco. He's done that. Applauded on the goal line by Kane Miller. And Brad Smith has got his second. He's been the premier goal scorer in the WAFL so far this year. There's the scoreline, a goal apiece in this term. Subiaco a 5-4-34. South Fremantle 2-3-15. All that inside 4.5 minutes of the second term.
Yeah, well, it's a good reply, really, when you think that South really probably should have scored at the other end. Brad Bootsma should have kicked his second. And from a coach's point of view, it'd be extremely disappointing, a 2-goal turnaround. But very clever work by Luke Toya. Had very little room to actually put that ball through to his teammate, Brad Smith, but he did it very well.
Lovely palm by Mott, down to Clucas. Untidy looking kick forward. Ryan drops the mark. Has the overlap, though. Marshall a hand pass to Wooden. Wooden, who conceded a goal to his opponent Bootsma in the opening seconds of this turn. Tapua Mantameri did well there. Chipping in front of Toya. Goes backwards, but Bottrell has time and space. Kicks now towards half-forward. Bootsma, with players both in front and behind. None really put on strong body presence, and Bootsma able to mark. Brad Bootsma. Goes high now, and the ball will land about 30 metres out from the goal line. Over the back, free kick.
Mark.
Was it? Well,
Yeah,
Mark
it was
has
a
been
mark.
paid to Gilmore.
Cleared the pack.
Thought it came off hands, but Gilmore lurking at the back. See the replay here. Yep, no fingertips in it. And Gilmore's got the mark. He won't be troubled here from 40 metres out. He kicked the only goal in the opening term for South Fremantle. It's a goal apiece since quarter time. We've only been playing 6 minutes. Gilmore just squeezes it inside the goalpost. Was touch and go. Looked like it was going to cannon into the woodwork, and he gets his second.
Well played, Daniel. Gilmore certainly, when the ball was in the air, read the flight a little better than the players in front of him, and just pushed himself off the back of the pack there to take really what was a comfortable chest mark. I like the work of Brad Bootsma there. Weighted up pretty good. He had a look to see if he had any short options. There weren't, and then just kicked it long to a 2-on-2 contest, and that's really all you can ask, and they got the rewards from doing that quickly.
South Fremantle looking a lot better in the opening half a dozen minutes of this second quarter, certainly using the ball more constructively. Mott and Lucas, still a good duel. Sharks beautifully by the reigning Sandover medalist. Pickett gets out of trouble beautifully. A bullet-like pass up to centre half forward. Thornton got a hand into it. Now there's a chance for Adams. Long hand pass to Hutchison. Now Thornton into the action. Clucas. He thought about a hand pass to Ugle, but goes with the foot pass to Atkins. Low down, he's taken the mark. Just forward of the outer wing. Marty Atkins gets on with it quickly. Coming out on the lead there was Gilmore. No mark taken. Ryan's hand pass cleared the pack. Maloney taken in a tackle, shrugs it off. Good strong play by Maloney. Then he uses the ball out well wide. Ambrose got it to Toya. Good change of direction by Luke Toya. He's in good form this afternoon. That's another beautiful foot pass into the middle of the ground. Miller. Webb, one of the stars of Subiaco's win against Swan Districts last week. This kick, well, to open space at half forward. Players ran into it. Pat was one of them. McLaren got the hand pass, well, got the tap. It was a good tap too from the youngster Jones, and eventually it has ended up with Tinsley. Needs to gather himself. Goes with a kick back across the ground to centre half back and Ugle. Perhaps South Fremantle need a little bit more from him. He finds a teammate in Bootsma. Wonder where his immediate opponent is. Seemed to have a lot of time on that occasion. Went up toward the half-forward line. It cleared Gilmore. Maloney goes back for Subiaco. Inside the defensive 50 and running across the ground. Again, he uses the ball well and finds Braun between left half-back and left centre wing.
Michael Braun with the one glove. Kicks up over the members' wing. Miller the target. Too much carry on the kick. Tinsley can mop up in defence. Hand pass then to McLaren. He's called to run on by Bottrell. He does just that, then kicks to full forward through the hands there of the leading Hay. Foot race on at the back. Nikoski didn't panic. Hand pass to Metropolis, could get crunched. Running into him was Atkins. Ball still in dispute. Ryan under pressure. Gets it out towards Marshall. Marshall a high kick, but South will win it back. McLaren plays on. Bombs it high now towards full forward. Fist in there from Metropolis, but it lands with the big man Mott. Left foot snapshot is a shocker. Wide out to the pocket, but Gilmore marks in the shadows.
Left footer, Glenn.
Yeah, it'll be tough from here. Although he is a clever footballer, Daniel Gilmore. Need to go the banana. Ugle offers a lead into the hole, but that's ignored. Gilmore has 2 of the Bulldogs 3 this afternoon. The Fremantle rookie list. Shaping, as you can see, for a drop punt. And he's put it right across the face. Marked a Subiaco note out of bounds on the full. Same result, though.
No, it's a mark, Glenn.
Oh, well, the boundary umpire signalled out on the full.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Yep, so maybe the umpire, the field umpire, might have overruled, but Marshall goes somewhat dangerously by hand back towards the top of the defensive goal square in Nikoski, and he kicks it out of bounds on the full. And much to the annoyance of Subiaco's Chad Cossum, as you can see. They had 2-on-1 out there, just needed to be an accurate kick. Bottrell puts it to within 30 metres of South's goal line. Back with the flight. Gardner couldn't mark Hay there. Gives it to Ugle, who can't control it. Spills from his grasp. A boundary throw in deep at left full forward for the Bulldogs.
Glenn Young, Brent Doswell's just made his way on the field for South Fremantle, having his first game over here.
Yes, and also on Fremantle's list, spinner. So interesting, we don't know much about him. Lucas. Won the knock straight through the legs there of Cossum. Chips a hand pass up to Maloney. He's busy in this term. So too Marshall. Bursts away from half-back. There goes the kick. Beautifully weighted for Toya. Might have got the sun in his eyes. Toya shrugs off a tackle. He really looks in confident form, Luke Toya, at the moment. He's giving great service to Subiaco. And again, Brad Smith love playing downfield from Luke Toya?
Well, that was just beautiful play by Luke Toya. His evasive skills were perfect, and then still able to weigh up the situation and kick to some nice space there for his leading
Good
forward.
Intelligent leading by Smith as well.
Absolutely. Plenty of room, though, Phil, but it was a great kick.
Brad Smith has had something of a checkered career with Subiaco. Has left the club on a couple of occasions. Goes with a short pass. He waited until he got someone on offer, and eventually Michael Braun just ran into space. And Smith, who knew he was too far out to score.
Clever play.
Yep, played it cleverly. And Michael Braun in and out of the Eagles side so far this year, but no doubt a solid display here.
And it looks like Brad Smith, after that kick, coming to the bench for a rest.
Well, that's interesting. We heard from Rod Willett that he had been suffering from, I think, tonsillitis during the week, so perhaps they will use him sparingly this afternoon. Braun sends the ball on its way. It was always shy to the right-hand side, and that is the result. Subiaco 5-5, South Fremantle 3-3.
And Sean Tinsley has now been moved off Kane Miller, and Scott Thornton is playing on the Subiaco centre-half forward.
John Northey would be a little bit more pleased with what he's seen this quarter, but the margin still stands at 14 points. Ambrose has marked the Tinsley kick in and now puts it back to a danger area for South Fremantle. Bootsma fisted it away. Blind hand pass, through goes Pickett. Gave it to a teammate, Pap, who had it spent before he gathered, but umpire Bandy, the non-controlling umpire, back towards the centre of the ground, and a 50-metre penalty, has picked out something off the ball.
Well, Sean Tinsley is saying, I think quite rightly, that Pickett went in with his head, and it was difficult for the South Fremantle players not to make contact with his head.
I think the infringement might have been after that initial tackle. Could be wrong.
Pickett doesn't waste any time, dobs it through. He gets his first and his team's sixth in this quarter. Subiaco 2-1, South Fremantle 2 goals. So the lead that was 19 points at quarter time is now out to 20.
You make a fair point, Phil. There's no doubt about that. When he gained possession of the football, he had his head down and took 3 or 4 steps with his head still down, and the South players had to place a tackle on Alastair Pickett. But I thought the actual infringement came after that, so I don't know if the tackle actually lingered.
May well have done. We saw a shot there of Subiaco's coach's box, looking quite at ease with themselves. Lucas and Mott, again eyeing each other. Beautiful bounce from the umpire. Mott perhaps got line honours there, but it came down to Webb. Hand pass to Cossum. He does likewise now to Wooden, who runs off centre wing and drives the ball up towards the right half forward flank, close to the line. This time, Ursegovic, who's been moved on to Miller, knocks the ball away from him. Subiaco and South Fremantle supporters fraternising there. Kane Miller. Great first term from Miller. Now he's in ruck contest opposed to Mott. Mott from behind. Seemed to win it, but it went straight to Wooden. Got it to Pickett. Now to Godden. Tony Godden, a real veteran of Subiaco, has played with the West Coast Eagles and Fremantle Dockers. Gives it off to Lucas. He goes into the pocket, but it was a blind kick. And Kieran Ugle goes back, taking a saving mark. Now he turns defence into attack. Good pass to Hutchison. Taken Kingsley Hutchison some time to play his 100 games. Goes from half-back toward the half-forward line. Atkins put a beautiful contest in. Here's Doswell. Roved the crumbs beautifully, drives it towards full forward at the back of the pack. Gilmore will run into an open goal here. Nikoski giving chase, but he can give it up. Gilmore now has got his 3rd goal. The chief goal scorer in the match, certainly the most dangerous forward on the ground. And Wayne, the more we see Daniel Gilmore, the more you have to think that he certainly has got a future up at the higher echelon of footy.
Well, he's doing so well up forward today, Phil, but he's also very good playing through the midfield and off half-back because he has got that beautiful penetrating left foot, but he's also got good size about him.
He came under notice as a wingman, didn't he, originally?
And he's not slow. He's quick over the ground, and he has been the most productive forward for South Fremantle, certainly today. And he was opposed to Jukovic, but it looks like now they may have switched back to Neil Marshall, who was originally on him at the start of the game.
Problem so far in the game for South Fremantle, they're yet to kick consecutive goals. The margin back to 14 points. Mott wins it down in the middle, but it's taken by Webb. Across the body, awkward bounce for Pap. Going back, McLaren knocks it to his own advantage. Then gets met solidly by Maloney. Goes to ground. Maloney, creative hand pass, got him. Good recovery when it looked like he was going to spill it. Ryan on the end of the hand pass, and he misses to the left-hand side.
When you think about it, South only a couple of goals really away from Subiaco's lead, but not playing well, still in the game, still a lot of football to be played.
Well, episodes like that, letting South Fremantle off the hook, Ryan, I thought, had a chance to steady a bit more than he did. Meanwhile, South Fremantle, long kick from full back. Jones went up, didn't take the mark he needed to because Wooden swooped on it, gave it to Braun. Two Eagles combining there, and Braun delivering the ball beautifully to Beattie. Kicked 2 first quarter goals, Anthony Beattie goes with a short pass from Webb as Mark still too far out to score, I would think. Leading possession getter on the ground last week in Subiaco's win against Swan Districts.
28 possessions, Phil.
Thank you, Wayne. Still the numbers, man.
Working good for you two.
Webb. What can he weave here? Goes with a long kick, and that is not a bad effort. Mark Webb is in good form. That's a long goal, a good goal. I think I might have said that he was too far out to score, but he has certainly proven me wrong. Mark Webb started, I think, coming from Port Melbourne, went to the Perth Football Club and has worked his way into the Subiaco lineup and is now a very, very, very integral part of their midfield.
And they'd be certainly disappointed, Perth, losing a player of his calibre. But it's important that a player certainly knows his limitations. And on that occasion, I think Mark Webb knew that it was probably just his kicking distance. We saw prior to that, Brad Smith knew he was just too far out and passed off. Good goal, Mark Webb.
Subiaco's biggest lead of the afternoon now, 21 points. They're led by 19 at quarter time. Clucas, quick hand pass then off to Hutchinson. He kicks into the oncoming bodies. South managed to knock it inside their attacking 50. Well done there by McKay. Taps it back towards Metropolis, overruns the ball. Desperation shown by the skipper, Atkins. Hand pass away. Thornton needs a good bounce. Gets it. Hand pass not controlled by Hutchison. And now the telling rebound. Marshall to the outer side. And the mark taken out there by Cossum. Cuts back inboard. Lucas, the big ruckman, can mark. Wants to go on by hand. Arching the back Webb. Gets away from Smithers. Kicks to the top of the goal square. South Fremantle working hard in defence. Hand pass away. Maloney overruns the ball to Puamanda-Mary. Goes to ground. Doesn't panic. And then taken. After he disposed of the ball, I fancy, by Maloney. And a free kick to Shane to Puamanda-Mary. The umpire wants to have a word with Maloney. No report, but to Puamanda-Mary with the free kick. Comes out to the members' back pocket. Tinsley further afield to the members' wing. In the end, Miller able to thwart Webb and knock it out of play. Mark Webb, Ryan Webb, I should say, played over 100 games with West Perth in his first season with the Bulldogs.
Now being moved on to Kane Miller.
Ball thrown in. Mott, strength, wins it down. There's the other Webb. That's Mark Webb. His hand pass picked off. Clucas to Puamanda-Mary to Bootsma. He's got plenty of latitude in this second quarter. Runs to 55. Powerful kick. He's got 2 goals.
That's a great kick.
55 metres and almost cleared the fence. 5 goals for South Fremantle. And they've come from 2 players. 2 to Bootsma, 3 to Daniel Gilmore.
Well, that's interesting. I'm just looking for his immediate opponent, who we had as Josh Wooden. And I can't actually see him at the moment. I don't know if he was opposed to Bootsma on that occasion, but a ball-up situation, or a boundary throw-in, I should say. And Brad Bootsma then ran forward 15, 25 metres towards his goal, and no Subiaco player went towards him. They managed to get possession of the football and just a simple pass out to him, and a good long goal.
Well, Bootsma starting in the centre square on the offensive side of the square, and coming in is Wooden, so it's a little bit unclear just at the moment. Ends up with Pickett. Holds onto the hand pass cleverly and then gives it off to McKay. Steadying pass from Joel McKay. Pretty good use of it too. Beattie. Miller, in fact, it was. Gave it to Godden. As he was bumped, it was a miss kick in the end. And Smith on the end of it tumbles the ball clear. chance there for Adams. He was dispossessed and went to ground. Now it's Beattie again. Ambrose. Can Subiaco manufacture something they can't? Because doing the work at the defensive end of the ground now is Brad Bootsma. And that was a very well-timed push to get Ambrose off balance. Rushed behind for Subiaco.
Richard Ambrose, the Sandover medalist of 2000, Bootsma just able to apply the body pressure, and it dribbles through for the behind off the left boot of Richard Ambrose. McLaren hunched over the foot. He goes short. Bootsma's in the game at both ends of the ground. Takes the mark. He's kicked 2 goals this term. Souths need to kick a few more between now and the half-time siren in the 21st minute. Tinsley a strong mark. Lucas goes low. Atkins, the skipper, on the lead. Met it overhead, couldn't mark. Thornton couldn't keep it inside the field of play. Scott Thornton, just 1 game so far in his AFL career for Fremantle. That was last season. Mott, but Lucas in front wins it down. Pulled off the hand pass, Braun. Lucas ends up with it nonetheless. Shielding his eyes from the sun was Miller coming out towards the boundary line. Maloney gets it to Ambrose, takes the mark. Richard Ambrose will have to kick from right on 50.
He's doing a power of work, David Lucas, in the ruck, opposed to Ricky Mott, and also Hay when he relieves Mott. And I don't think he's had a rest up until this point in time.
Well, Ambrose is a Sandover medalist. Lucas might be one of the early favourites to win it this year. Smith's leads ignored. He made a couple of attempts from right on 50. Powerful kick. It won't quite have the carry. Pack up off hands through for a behind.
Well, not a bad effort by Richard Ambrose. There wasn't a lot on. I think really he had to, the decision was to kick long. Fell a bit short, but as I said, David Lucas just in the middle of the ground. He's almost playing as a link man at the moment.
So McLaren with a short pass has found Ercegovic. He goes from half back up towards centre wing. Thornton's the target, was pushed in the back and will get the free kick. The advantage applied. Hutchison goes from right centre wing. He goes up toward the half-forward line. Gilmore was down there, gets support now from Hay. Gilmore back into the action. He's got 3 goals. He could get 4 here. Across his body, goes up towards the goal square, but getting back is Neil Marshall, taking the saving mark. Has been a saviour on a number of occasions this afternoon, Marshall. This time he finds Lucas. Between right fullback and right half-back, southern side of Subiaco Oval. And a couple of false starts. Lucas just really, for the moment, with nowhere to go. Held onto it. Went up looking there for Braun, who dropped what he should have taken. Bootsma a chance as he fell. Gave it off to Clucas. Now with a well-weighted pass, Hay. He's clear at centre-half forward. Can run to the 55. Just Bootsma's distance. What about Adam Hay? Well, no mark on the goal line there. Good effort by Gilmore once more, but it came off his hands and a rush behind this time to South Fremantle. They move on to 5 goals for. Subiaco is 7-8. The margin is 16 points. 23.5 minutes got on the second term.
And important for South Fremantle too, Matthew Clucas, just the last 10 minutes starting to get his hands on the football, and I think that it improves South's chances. They seem to get the ball forward when he's getting hands on ball.
Subiaco trying to keep Braun free and have him as a sweeper across half back, and I think Featherby's now gone onto the ground and he's picking up Bootsma.
South Fremantle still yet to get consecutive goals in this game. Nikoski short. Marshall not paid the mark, got it on the half volley, back to Nikoski. Gilmore fell over in pursuit. Nikoski able to run around him as a result. Comes high towards the member side. Maloney almost took an accidental mark. Goes now with the left foot. Braun runs and takes it with the flight of the ball, but then holds things up. Goes back towards Lucas, who will mark again unattended near the centre circle. Thought about going laterally to the outer wing and wouldn't, and decided against that move. David Lucas, the reigning best and fairest for Subiaco. Stabs it low up towards left half forward. Jukovic takes the mark. Plays on by Hantoya, just back on the ground towards Smith. Getting a hand on the ball in flight was Webb. Overrunning it then Smith. Pickett in there, breaks the tackle, uses the ball well towards full forward. He's kicked his second. Didn't panic there, Pickett. He backed himself to wriggle out of the tackle and gives Subiaco a 22-point lead, 25 minutes into the second term.
Well, he's certainly very clever, Pickett. He's one of those players, when he gets his hands on the ball, he turns you inside out. He can go right, left, and you can be bobbing around trying to catch him. But the work I liked, and I'm wrapping him up a little bit, but David Lucas, he held onto that ball long enough. He looked to pass it off to the middle of the ground. Wasn't the right option, held onto it, and then eventually got a leading option to the left side, which really was the right side to kick to, and he hit his target, and I thought that was just smart play.
Yes, and Luke Toyer, the player that delivered the ball down to him. So back in the centre of the ground, Lucas is there. Wooden almost had possession. Adam Hay got a hand pass away. Thornton then gave it up, and Wooden ends up with it. On the outer wing, he drives the ball up towards the half-forward line. In fact, over half-forward. But Adams, leading Beattie to the ball on this occasion, has taken the mark. Short pass from Adams. Split two Subiaco players and found the new player in Doswell. He's at left half-back flank. South Fremantle going up toward the wing, clearing the headed there of Bootsma. Pickett will get back first. A couple of goals in this second term. He's been very busy. Nice pass, and he's found Wooden. So Josh Wooden really has been without an opponent for most of this second term. Goes to the half-forward line. The ball knocked away again. South Fremantle's defence doing pretty well as Doswell went in toward the middle of the ground. McKay in the way, got it off to Lucas. Now there's a chance as Gardner's set free. He goes with a low pass. Oh, Tapua Mandamiri's been quite brilliant. Not paid the mark on that occasion. Here's Jukovic. As he fell, he got a hand pass into the clear. Maloney did brilliantly. Knocked the ball back to Gardner. Hand passes to the feet of Lucas. Not really where the big man wants them. He gives it up. So Doswell got it off to Thornton, and South Fremantle with a good foot pass from Thornton to Galt. Lowered his colours in the first term. Now he's up forward. David Gold. He goes to centre half forward. Hay. Got it off to Doswell, back to Hay. Adam Hay from just a step, kicks up toward full forward. South Fremantle's Gilmore went to ground. Nikoski may have got a hand too, it doesn't matter. It went through for a minor score only, so we'll give that one to Adam Hay. Ambrose and Bottrell in the interchange gates awaiting their chances to come back on the ground.
That would have been a freakish goal. It was untouched then. It just bent back with a bit of leg spin a couple of times. Wooden by hand to Toyer, short to half-back. Featherby, famous name in Subiaco colours, breaks the tackle and then runs through centre half-back. Lucas is there, but chipping in front. The mark taken for South Fremantle by McLaren. From just forward of the centre circle, awkward delivery for his forwards. Pack flies, and the best recovery on the ground there. Subiaco getting a kick square across the full back line. The kick coming from McKay. It's gone out of play at half-back. There's Josh Wooden.
And Glenn, Joe McLaren for South Fremantle, been impressive today.
He's making his debut, having had plenty of AFL experience, played a lot of games in the AFL, 57 with the Saints, 12 with the Kangaroos. Ball not coming out of there in a hurry. The umpire called into play again. Last man up Daniel Metropolis. South would love to get a late goal here. They trail by 21 points. Not far away from half-time. Very high kick inside 50 by Robinson. Chance here for Clucas. Met. Hand pass away. Then the clearing kick by Subiaco. Wooden under pressure. Ugle on the end of it. Goes short and the mark taken. Chance for the Bulldogs if they're accurate. Through the 100 game of Kingsley Hutchison. To narrow the margin to 15 points. It was 19 in favour of Subi. There's the Ugle kick. Hutchison really had to be at full stretch overhead, off the ground, to rein that one in. Recruited from Esperance. His 100th game. Shoots on goals and shoots accurately. Just the goal the Bulldogs needed. Nearly 29.5 minutes into the second quarter.
Well, Subiaco paying the penalty there for having all their players work back extremely defensively, virtually all players inside their defensive 50. And when Josh Wooden got that ball, he kicked it hurriedly under pressure, and unfortunately no Subiaco player across the midfield, only two South players, and one of them receiving it was Ugle, who was able to pass that ball off. So a situation where all players getting down there to fill the holes, but Subiaco having no one to kick to when they cleared it.
Subiaco certainly not able to shrug South Fremantle off. 30 minutes have gone in this second quarter, and just 15 points to the difference. Back at centre field, Ambrose doing some ruck work. Got it out there to Pickett. Hurried hand pass from Pickett now to Cosm. He drives it from the offensive side of the centre square in towards Smith, who gathers the ball cleverly, snaps with the left boot. It's going to land right on the goal line. It's gone through just the wrong side of the post. So almost a very quick reply there to Subiaco, Brad Smith. A little disappointed with that effort. It was ever so close.
2 goals 2 this afternoon for Brad Smith, as that one just went the right side of the post as far as South Fremantle's concerned. Meanwhile, Bottrell's marked the kick. In comes Members' side, and the siren sounds. Half-time here at Subiaco Oval. The undefeated Subiaco up against the undefeated South Fremantle, and it's the Lions leading as they did at quarter time. It was 19 at the first change. They now lead by 16 at half-time.
Welcome back to Fox Footy Extra. We rejoin play during the third quarter.
Subiaco with just the edge in class at the moment. Mott on the way down, got a hand to it. Webb for Subiaco was dispossessed. Hutchison tried to get it off to Robinson, but Webb was in the way. Again, the whistle has gone, and a free kick is going to go the way of Subiaco. I think Webb was taken high.
At the moment, Subi, 25 more kicks, 18 more handballs, so 43 possessions is, in a half of football, is probably worth about 4 footballers on the ground.
Toyer again got it off to Braun. Now, those two collectively are really destroying South Fremantle, especially in this term. So too the man Pickett, with a bit of speed, gets himself clear. The hand pass finds Smith. He feints with a hand pass, not under a lot of pressure. Now he sees someone out wide. Camped in the pocket is Ambrose, and all too easy, Brad Smith has been able to deliver the ball to Richard Ambrose, who just was not marked.
And that's what they're doing very poorly, South, when the ball's getting across just outside their offensive or defensive 50. They're not being able to cover the shorter options.
Well, Richard Ambrose, certainly this not beyond him to date, is scoreless and really hasn't had a big influence on the match. But a goal here to Ambrose and Subiaco would really stretch the margin. 29 points at the moment. This to make it nearly 6 goals and put Subiaco in a very, very handy position. Right in front of his members, Ambrose comes in, steers this one through. Great goal. It was all a bit too easy for Subiaco. South Fremantle really do need to do something structurally. They certainly need to be a bit more desperate as Tapua Mandamiri comes on for Tom Bottrell, but Richard Ambrose with his first has given Subiaco quite a cushion. Well,
they need to rebound now and very quickly, or this game can slip away from them. Certainly when Subiaco are pushing the ball forward, as I mentioned, they're running back defensively, but they're not actually running with somebody and closing down those short leads when Subiaco get the ball across half forward. Really impressed today. Luke Toyer's disposal is one player that's actually been able to kick beautifully today.
Serving up notice to Chris Conley and the Fremantle Match Committee. Ball back in the middle, Mott and Lucas. Mott wins it down. Opportunity for Webb, though, for Subiaco. Comes with the right boot. Fickle bounce. Made it tough for Cosm. Knocked down by Pickett. To Cosm, to Ryan. Ryan can go short into the pocket. Subiaco here can goal. Marshall on by hand unselfishly. Toyer needs to be careful. Got fancy, but with a low-level check side, kicks his second goal. And you just wonder now whether the horse has already bolted. The margin is 41 points, and Subiaco have kicked 4 unanswered goals in 11.5 minutes of this third term.
Well, certainly Subiaco's clearances from the centre of the ground this quarter have been as efficient as you would like. They've been fairly clinical, and a terrific clearance on that occasion by Mark Webb, who managed to get the ball outside to, I think it was Cosm on the wing here, after his opponent had run in towards the centre square. Terrific play that really eventually set that whole goal up.
And again, South Fremantle's defence in tatters. Subiaco players really waxing it through the forward line then as Mott won the knock. McKay came through for Subiaco, but the opportunity now for Smithers. Got the hand pass to Jones. Jones's vision was very good. He went out wide with the left boot and found in space Kieran Ugle. He chips the ball into the pocket, and all of a sudden Subiaco caught napping. The mark has been taken by Boots from about 35 metres out from goal.
Gee, that was good vision, wasn't it, by Jones? Terrific kick.
He is a player of some promise.
He's done well today.
Has, for a young man, got the capacity to get a lot of the ball and can use it, as we saw on that occasion. Now, one man who can use it, as we've seen over a number of years, is Brad Bootsma. He's got 2 goals this afternoon, and if ever South Fremantle needed him to get a third, it's right now. This one misses by a long margin. conditions beautiful for football this afternoon, but gee, some of the mistakes, some of the disposal errors have been quite mystifying.
Short kick back into play. Jukovic plays on. Takes a bounce. He's really backing himself around the boundary line member's side. Comes high to the member's wing. Marshall really tests the hamstrings. Had to stride out there to take the mark. Sweeps the hand pass infield. Gardner short. Hits Ambrose on the chest. Plays on by hand. Back to Gardner. Good build-up, but then he kicks into the oncoming Clucas. Marshall there, though, in support. He goes low with the left foot inside 50. Mott back in defence. Slides off his fist. Overrunning it there initially was Jones. Here's Smith. Hand pass away. Pickett snaps for his fourth. Could be game, set and match here for South Fremantle. They've been rather insipid in the opening 14 minutes of this third term. Subiaco, 5 goals, 1 to South's 1 behind. And it's a very forlorn-looking scoreboard now for the Bulldogs. The Lions out by 46 points.
Well, I suppose, Glenn, as a coach, when you're sitting in the coach's box, you look for little things. And when teams are going very well, you find little things that pop up and they create goals. And on that occasion, young Clinton Gardner was running through the middle of the ground. He had the ball smothered with his kick after he received it from Ambrose. And he got back onto it, and just before the South bloke could get it, just tapped the ball out with a quick little tap as he was going to ground, which actually eventually caused that goal.
Cakewalk for Subiaco in the third term. Lucas unopposed in the ruck, knocked it down. Pickett was on the run, but he couldn't gather it. Hutchison, under pressure, kicked it sideways for South Fremantle. They can't go forward, the Bulldogs, just at the moment. Webb combines beautifully with Ryan, gets a hand pass to Pickett. He's just cracking South Fremantle open. Braun has got a lot of the ball, goes by left boot. Beautiful pass at full stretch was young Anthony Beattie. Has taken the mark. He kicked 2 goals from a similar position in the first quarter, and there he was, a real fingertip of it. Braun, along with Pickett, Toya. The delivery of the Subiaco midfielders has been absolutely first class, but probably, Wayne, just under too little pressure.
Absolutely, but the handball, the Subiaco's handball this quarter has been a feature when they're being confronted by a South player. They've been able to hit targets.
And Webb has been one of the real playmakers for Subiaco in the midfield. Beattie got well underneath this one, but he was close enough. Distance was never going to be a problem, and Anthony Beattie has got his 3rd goal. And, in fact, 3 goals, 2 for Anthony Beattie, so he has been dangerous around goals all afternoon, but now that scoreline is looking very, very unflattering indeed for South Fremantle. It is the best part of a 9-goal lead to Subiaco, and we are only 15 and a half minutes into this third term.
Well, they certainly need to react here to the centre clearance, South Fremantle. They need to go 1 for 1. There's no doubt about that. They've been slaughtered out of the middle, and they need to generate some forward thrust from this bounce.
Ball back in the middle. 52-point margin. Mott knocks it forward for South Fremantle, but Subi players lurking on the defensive side of the contest. McKay uses it well. Wooden plays on with Toya giving a good shepherd. Ambrose takes the chest mark. Subiaco like a tidal wave, just flooding forward time and again over the head of Lucas. Opportunity now for Bootsma from just shy of centre half back. Bombs it to the heart of Subiaco Oval. To Puamantameri, shunted off the ball by Jukovic. Maloney gets the loose one. Props then goes wide looking for Braun on the outer flank. Couldn't take the mark. Clucas goes in. Cleverly socks into the path of Smithers. Smithers met solidly by Wooden. Hand pass then defensively to Clucas. Back to Smithers. Now he can press forward for the Bulldogs. Could have taken a bounce, but opts instead to go for Gilmore on the lead. To Puamantameri, paddles it through the legs of Doswell, his teammate. Now Gilmore gets tackled, could have almost been penalised. Metropolis can tidy up for Subiaco. Hand pass, well weighted to McKay. On in turn now to Jukovic, and Subiaco out of immediate danger. Couple of bounces, make it 3. Gets to the logo on the wing. Now goes inside 50. Smith coming from behind. Up he goes, can't take the mark. Robinson soccers it out wide towards the boundary. Chance here for Wooden. Loses his footing, but not his composure. By hand to Marshall. Cossum, back to Marshall. A high kick. Pickett, well, he's on a hiding to nothing there. He's a lot shorter than his South Fremantle opponent, who went up and double-fisted it away down there. That was Mott. Now a squaring kick. Well done by Webb. Toya's taken the chest mark. And at the moment, Subiaco are just running rings around South Fremantle. Toya to line up for his 3rd goal. His previous 2 both coming in this quarter.
Glenn, at 3-quarter time, I think we should fall into step with our quarter time policy of taking vision only and not sound of John Northey.
Most definitely. He'll be a very frustrated man, John Northey. Luke Toyer, 2 goals, 1 and 1 out of bounds on the full this afternoon. It's low level, but he steered it home. 3 goals to Luke Toyer and 15 now for Subiaco. When you get an aggregate of 100 points, you're always playing pretty well. Well, Subi have got it 2 minutes shy of the time on period in the 3rd term.
3 goals all in this quarter for Luke Toyer. Has been quite dominant one.
He has, and we've already mentioned his disposal by foot, but really that goal was created by their running half-back line. Metropolis, Maloney, they're all down there playing very well. Marshall doing extremely well, and at the moment, no answers, South Fremantle. They need to do something very quickly, or it's going to be an absolute belting.
An embarrassment of midfield riches for Subiaco. Mark Webb, who's been one of the architects all day, has come off the ground to have a rest as Pickett gets a disposal towards, well, it was Ryan in the end. He got a hand pass away to no one in particular. Got to Bootsma eventually from Galt. He got it out to young Jones. Short pass, and it's been marked by Tapua Mandameri, who's been one of South Fremantle's few good, solid contributors. Tapua Mandameri bursts away, kicks the ball into the path of Gilmore, and Daniel Gilmore has a chance to line up and shoot for his 4th goal.
At this stage, on a perfect day for footy, Subiaco have had 58 more possessions than South Fremantle.
58 more possessions. They lead by 58 points on the scoreboard, Glenn, so some symmetry there in the way that Subiaco have demolished South Fremantle, in particular in this term. They led by 19 points at quarter time, 16 at half time. It's now 58 points. Gilmore, can he claw back a bit? He can't. Well, perhaps the conditions are just too perfect this afternoon. I don't know what that woman had to take photographs of. Perhaps the demoralised John Northey in the coach's box, because he would be quite, well, he'd be devastated by the lack of skill shown by his players in this quarter in particular.
7 goals to none this term. Jukovic takes the mark and bounds over the defensive 50. Goes short. Braun is there. He's got Cossum running forward of the play. Well-weighted kick. Now he's got Marshall inside him. Goes in that direction by hand. Marshall can line up from 30 metres and hits the post. Well, they did everything there but kick a goal. They ran the ball in the space of about probably 9 seconds. The ball had travelled from virtually one end of the ground to be in a goal-scoring opportunity. Subiaco rattling the goalpost.
Short pass in from goals is untidy. McLaren has to shrug a tackle to burst clear from half-back. Spirals the ball into the middle of the ground. A very, very blind kick. Wasteful indeed. Toyer on the end of it. Got the hand pass out to Gardner. He was tackled. Carried forward perhaps. Miller got the spilt footy. Got it to Nikoski, who's got genuine pace. From just inside the centre square. Goes for distance. Smith is down there and marks the ball. 2 South Fremantle players were encroaching on him, but Brad Smith had no problem taking the chest mark, and he will shoot at his 3rd. 5 marks now to Brad Smith. Has kicked 2 himself, been involved in a couple of others. One just a short time ago, which he under no pressure and rather unselfishly gave off to Richard Ambrose. Smith now a chance to further entrench his position as the league's leading goal scorer for season 2003. Not a difficult one. The angle rather acute, but he's only really 15 metres out. Brad Smith, very good kick on goal, makes no mistake, and Subiaco have now kicked 16 goals. And there you see some of the Subiaco members really enjoying this demolition job of South Fremantle. South Fremantle 6-7, and that is a disappointing scoreline, given that at half-time, Wayne, they were 6-5.
Extremely disappointing, and the defensive pressure that they're placing on their opponents is non-existent. That last point that prior to that goal being scored by Subiaco, they brought it the full length of the ground. Their kick in when Jukovic took the mark in their defensive 50, he just moseyed around the South Fremantle players and he was allowed to play on. The coach would be absolutely annoyed at that.
8 goals, 2 to 2 behinds in this quarter. Atkins at the 2nd attempt, wins it down. Ugle can't control it. Robinson on all fours, shoveled out by Subiaco to Ryan. A high kick floating towards left half forward. Beatty spoiled from behind. Support coming on the ground courtesy of Wooden. Uses his pace. He's got plenty of that, but he can't quite keep it in play. And we'll have a boundary throw in at left half forward for the Lions.
Just bad signs for South Fremantle. All their midfielders are walking, but when you look at Subiaco's midfield, it's been pretty smart today with all the players rotating through there.
Certainly has, Rod, and with the likes of Braun and Wooden through that midfield. They've got plenty of experience as well. Miller and Atkins. Ambrose arrives late, wins it down. Beatty can't control it, but here is the aforementioned Wooden. from 75 metres out, long to the top of the goal square. Smith is there, thwarted by Ercegovic. Ball on the ground. Bootsma a quick hand pass away. Chance here for Jones. Steps inside Metropolis, then goes high, wide, well wide, out of bounds on the full. The umpire's going to make up his mind here. Who was closest, Braun or Beattie? The umpire says Beattie, so he'll take the resultant free kick for Subiaco. He'll come backwards, concede ground, but McKay can set up. He's in space. Confronted now by Robinson. Hand pass to Toya. He gets tackled. Gives it off in turn to Pap. Pap, that is a shocking kick for the forwards. Comes down almost vertically. Working his way to the front. Metropolis couldn't take the mark. Cossum taken in a standing tackle. Will have a bounce about 35 metres out, directly in front of Subiaco's goal.
Well, it's a crowded zone just at the moment inside 50 for Subiaco. Richard Ambrose contesting this ruck work. Won, though, by Marty Atkins. Clearing it there was young Jones once again. He had really no one to kick it to. Wooden will get there first. Josh Wooden into the pocket. Ambrose got the break on his opponent. He's marked. He was really 3 or 4 metres on his own. Typical of the lack of pressure that South Fremantle have applied in this third quarter in particular. Richard Ambrose kicked a good goal from not a dissimilar position about 5 or 6 minutes ago.
And when he looks up, Richard Ambrose, and he leads, he'd be pretty happy that Josh Wooden's got the ball in his hands, because he has been hitting his targets.
Metropolis has been moved forward. That's him on the lead now. He bursts into the pocket, but that's a decoy only because Richard Ambrose will have a deliberate shot at goal. He'll shoot from about 45 metres on probably a 75-degree angle, so this will test him. The Ambrose kick slightly across the face, doesn't miss by much. In fact, it doesn't clear the goal line. It's been marked by Marty Atkins, the veteran who has played in many better games than this one for the Red and Whites. The Atkins is a clearing kick up to the half-back line. Surgeon went up. Tinsley's there as well, and Surgeon close to the boundary line, keeps it in play with a hand pass. Galt, again defensive. South Fremantle making heavy work of going forward. Adams with a tumbling kick. Another blind one's landed with Marshall. Jukovic it was, who went with a long kick into the pocket, and it's been marked by Daniel Metropolis. Squaring kick as he plays on and finds Toya. Well, South Fremantle have decided that they just don't need to man up on Luke Toya. He's kicked 3 goals in this third term. He'll kick his 4th.
He has been left alone, there's no doubt about that. But you can see the difference between the two sides. South at the other end, no pressure from their forwards. The ball is able to be virtually walked out of their offensive half. Subiaco players putting pressure on the South players to turn the ball over.
Toya for his 4th goal comes in and has kicked it straight through the middle. Well done to Luke Toya. What an absolute purple patch, not just for Subiaco. Toya with 4 goals in this third term. Subiaco in a bit of a cakewalk at the moment as we near the 26-minute mark. Have just cruised on to 17 goals, 11, 113 points, 70 points the difference, if you don't mind, over South Fremantle 6-7-43.
And we see young Sean Robinson, that he's standing with him now, but I think 3 of his goals this quarter, Phil, have been when he's been able to just find an area of the ground where nobody has actually wanted to come near him, all of them being inside their offensive 50, and he's been a simple target for the player who's had the ball.
I think everyone came to Subiaco Oval today expecting a close and hard-fought contest. 2 teams undefeated. Well, it's certainly not panning out that way. Bootsma and Wooden tracking the ball laterally towards the members' wing. Wooden works his way in front, then gets a poor bounce. Bootsma, by hand, gives it off to Jones, who's under a bit of pressure. Left foot kick. Klukas there. Misses the target with a hand pass. Maloney does well, blind turn, then goes out the back door. High tackle meantime, and Richard Maloney earns the free kick. Klukas the man infringing. Maloney, best and fairest for Subiaco in season 2001. High to half forward at the back. The mark not paid down there to Ryan Webb. Opportunity for Braun. Strong attack on the football, but he's held up on the ground. Umpire lets it go. No, holding the ball. Gee, he showed great desperation then, Michael Braun. He was the only one that really legitimately first up wanted the footy, but Thornton has earned the free kick.
I think he's indicating the umpire that he's
pushing the back.
Got a push in the back.
Is it Thornton? No, Jones is going to take it. Thornton thought it was his. Jones comes looking for Tinsley. Was beaten roundly in the early stages of today's game by Kane Miller. And the ball out of play on the members' wing.
You can actually tell, Glenn, the physical pressure that Subiaco put on South Fremantle when they've actually got possession of the football, in stark contrast to the other way when Subiaco have the ball.
Yeah, some of their blind kicks has not been very impressive at all. Marty Atkins in ruck trying to create something for his teammates, trying to inspire them, but at the moment, inspiration for South Fremantle just seems eons away. Marty would be quite frustrated. He's in ruck, opposed to Miller. Marty Atkins wins it decisively. Galt found a hole and went for it. Got the hand pass to Smithers. Likewise from Smithers to Doswell. He's 55 metres out with a low pass, almost into the bread basket there of Ricky Mott. It's just not his day. Mott goes in again, trying to socket the ball clear, but Subiaco have been superior in defence all day. Smithers had it, walked into a dual tackle, Nikoski and one other teammate.
Well, it was positive ball movement from a stoppage situation, Phil. Unfortunately, Mott not being able to hold onto the ball.
Rare for me to have my glasses trained on this end of the ground in this third term. Doswell, in the end, was through the pack far too easily. Got it off to Galt. Galt's kick on goal is a high one. The siren goes. Marshall destroys it in any case. Frustration down at South Fremantle's end of the ground. There's Ryan Webb, but not much of a quarter for him. Not much of a quarter for South Fremantle. They have been trounced. The margin blew out from 16 points at half-time to 70 points. At 72 points, is it, Wayne?
No, I was just indicating.
They kicked 2 for the quarter.
Yeah, only 2 points for the quarter.
As the final quarter gets underway, we'll let you know the margins in those other 2 matches in a moment. There's a free kick picked out immediately from the centre bounce. Hutchison, the man giving it away, and the man of the third quarter, Luke Toyer, who kicked 4 goals, the recipient. He goes beautifully towards Metropolis on the lead, and he marks just outside 50. Could it be deja vu? And we're likely to see another landslide quarter for the Lions. Metropolis, long from 53 metres. Atkins back with the flight, destroys overhead and puts it through for a behind. The leading possession winners to 3-quarter time for Subiaco. 20 apiece to Toyer, Marshall and Braun. 18 to Josh Wooden, and for East Fremantle 19 to Klukas and 17 to Bootsma as the kick back into play, marked by Atkins, and then to sum up the day, the South Fremantle skipper's kick is smothered off the boot by Richard Ambrose. Another update, the triple defending champion East Perth, an easy win coming their way against Peel Thunder.
Marty Atkins just on onlooker on this occasion as Hay goes up, works it down towards Marty. He was unceremoniously dumped as he got his right boot to it. Just Klukas got it to Robinson. He's the man marking Toyer in this final term. Up towards centre wing. At the back of the pack is Jukovic. His former team Essendon will be on display here tomorrow against the Fremantle Dockers. Beautiful pass there by Wooden up towards the full forward region. Toyer was there again. Now it's Pap. Sweeping hand pass, finds Metropolis. Chips it off to Toyer, can kick his 5th. Toyer shoots a goal and is just astray. Probably wasn't under as much pressure as he thought on that occasion, and that is one that Luke Toyer would ordinarily have got.
Still players feel that when Subi get the ball in their offensive 50, they're just able to actually, you know, handball to players standing on their own. No immediate opponent putting any physical pressure on them.
With all due respect, you could put yourself under more pressure at training.
Yeah.
Sean Sinsley to bring it back into play for South Fremantle. And he stabs it out to the defensive 50. The mark taken by Klukas, shielding his eyes from the sun, which is rapidly descending in the west. Wider still in Atkins. Atkins goes about as wide as you can do to the outer side and finds Thornton, who now gets some leg speed up, goes inside the attacking 50. Gardner behind Webb, it clears both. Maloney there in support for Subiaco, chips it out wide. The Lions can maintain possession, or can they? Gee, that was a bit risky by Miller. Yeah, good decision by umpire Bandy, because Miller did brace himself for the contact by raising his right forearm and certainly took Jones high. You see there, bang. And even though he was the man in possession of the footy, you can't fend off in that nature in a free kick to South Fremantle. Clint Jones, who's seen a fair bit of the footy today, goes long and high. Mott there, couldn't take the mark. McKay on the ground. There's the little pressure. Subiaco defence able to just casually take the ball away. Nikoski short towards Jukovic. Players running inside him. He had a couple of options to hand pass to. He chose McKay, who somewhat strangely chose to kick it straight to Tinsley. South Fremantle on the rebound. Bootsma can load up from 45. A question of accuracy, and the answer's in the affirmative. A goal there to Bootsma, He gets his third, and South Fremantle get their first goal since the 29-minute mark of the second quarter.
Well, we haven't seen a kicking disposal error from Subiaco, certainly during that third quarter, but on that occasion, an errant kick trying to clear the ball, and I wasn't sure where the player was actually trying to kick to, but it went straight to the South player, who was able to find Brad Bootsma and found the opening, the 6-point opening, and 3 goals. Not a bad effort. Been one of the tries for South Fremantle today.
Yes, he certainly has, Brad Bootsma. Not a lot of support, certainly nowhere near as much as he has needed this afternoon. Hay, a study in concentration as he opposes Miller at ruck. The ball comes down to Bootsma again, who's still got plenty of speed in ageing legs. And the ball knocked away by Maloney, who's been one of the masters down across half-back for Subiaco this afternoon. And I'll tell you what, it's a bit of a struggle when you're a South Fremantle supporter.
Looks like a late night to me.
Richard Maloney with his left nostril plugged up. Obviously a bit of a nosebleed. Hay and Miller, both of them share that one. Nikoski taking in a tackle that seemed to linger. The umpire thought so as well. So Mark Nikoski, who's manned up for a fair bit of the afternoon on Daniel Gilmore. And whilst Gilmore has kicked 3 or 4 goals, 3, they certainly haven't all been on Mark Nikoski. This is Miller now with the clearing kick going up towards half-back. Subiaco have the weight of numbers again. Featherby hasn't had a lot of work to do this afternoon. Under no pressure, just ambles away from half-back, kicks the ball up towards, or just over centre wing. And that was a disappointing result. Tinsley's taken it. Sure. His left foot kick, it looked almost as if he deliberately kicked it to Clinton Gardner out there. Looked as though he looked up, saw Gardner and thought, yeah, that's my best option. Gardner to Nikoski. Stylishly by left boot, and that's a beautifully weighted kick. In fact, going a little bit casually at it, Daniel Metropolis. The umpire getting into the action and then coming unstuck. Metropolis, well, did he get the free kick or the mark in the end?
Got the mark.
Made the mark.
Yeah.
The umpire just bringing him back around behind his mark. Subiaco with the luxury at the moment, as Metropolis is instructing his players to move for him. Subiaco having David Lucas just walking around the boundary line at the moment, just getting his breath back. And look at that, into the pocket is Beattie, a player who has already kicked 3 goals for Subiaco, and there was no one within 10 metres of him.
Well, they did it very well. Toya, Smith and Beattie were all in the goal square. They were moving around. There was a bit of blocking going on, and they held onto the ball beautifully, Metropolis, to unload it to Beattie.
So it's an acute angle for Anthony Beattie, but he's got 3. He's in pretty good form. This one's bending back, doesn't quite have the journey, and a safe mark taken right on the last line by Marty Atkins.
South Fremantle skipper in game number 251. There's the scoreline. 11-goal margin in favour of Subiaco, who earlier this season defeated Claremont by 67 points. So they've had some big wins, hence their percentage of nearly 170 coming into this round of football. This is Godden. Haven't seen a lot of him today. Goes deep into the pocket and Smith takes the mark. He can line up for his 4th.
I know we've talked about the lack of pressure, Glenn, and that's probably one of the reasons, but the foot passing from Subiaco has been probably amongst the best I've seen for a couple of seasons in the WAFL.
It has been, but how many marks have Subi taken inside their offensive 50? If you went down the other end of the ground, I can't remember a good passage of play where South have actually took a mark inside their 50.
Brad Smith leading the race for the Bernie Naylor medal pre-game with 22 goals coming into this round. He could now have 26 if he kicks his 4th. Umpire backs back. He likes it, though. Smith running back to congratulate some teammates. 4 goals, 2 this afternoon for the Subiaco full forward. The Lions now lead by 12 goals.
Well, when you consider 3 players have now kicked 4 goals, it really doesn't provide too much of an example of the defence from South Fremantle. Virtually for the whole day, they've applied nothing to the Subiaco forwards, and even on that occasion when Godden got possession of the ball, he was still able to take 3 or 4 steps and virtually drill the ball to Brad Smith, and a comfortable mark.
Yeah, disconsolate looking group on South Fremantle's bench at the moment. David Galt in the foreground there as the umpire bounces the ball back down onto the centre pad. Subiaco again emerging. Kane Miller got it, I think, from Wooden, up towards the half-forward line. This is Adams. The ball bounced into his arms. Now he dribbles the ball out toward the boundary line. Clucas will get there first. Webb in pursuit is shepherded away by Adams, the player who kicked it out there, and Clucas's finish is very good, and he finds Gilmore. Daniel Gilmore, further afield, spotted a lead, or at least a man on his own, and that's Adam Hay, who ambles away. The big man goes for distance down to centre-half forward, kicks it into the shadows. Gardner from behind went the punch. Webb for South Fremantle paddles the ball into Bootsma. He released it, but a socket away from him. Back up toward the wing in one motion. Webb went down, hand passed it out toward Miller. His hand pass went astray, but Clucas couldn't gather it. It was taken more cleanly by Cosm to Jukovic. He loops it over the top now to Richard Ambrose, and Ambrose, almost as if in a training drill, goes down to centre-half forward, and Beattie was on the lead.
Not enough pressure on the players through the midfield. Their on-ball, the South's on-ball, is just not providing enough physical pressure.
South Fremantle really do need to regroup, because they'll be facing West Perth at Fremantle Oval next week. That's our match of the day. All eyes just for the moment on Beattie, who again has a chance to bring up his 4th goal. He seems almost destined to do it this afternoon, and that's it. 4 goals to Anthony Beattie, a fine display, and Subiaco again bolstering their percentage as the flags fly. They have 19 goals, 12, 126, and South are 7-7, 49.
Well, Peter Germans, certainly he has done it pretty well today in relation to rotating his players. He mentioned the midfield, but he's also, I suppose, had the luxury of being able to put players that started forward down in defence, and then players that started in defence up forward. And Richard Ambrose has certainly been one of those players, started in defence, but has moved down forward and has been very productive.
Ball bounced in the middle. Hay wins it down opposed to Lucas. Tracking it towards the outer side is Braun. He's had a pretty impressive day today. Goes out the back door to Cossum. He can come back towards the middle of the ground. The mark taken by Ryan. Ryan floats one towards Toya. Gathers on the half volley. Feigned a hand pass. Looking for an option further afield by Boot. And he goes back towards Michael Braun. So Fremantle Docker putting on the chest of an eagle. Goes out wide now to a man who played with both clubs. Tony Godden, he goes deep inside, 50, Metropolis up. In fact, it wasn't Metropolis, Ryan. Smith arrives at the ball, beats him over the line. We'll have a boundary throw in. Since half-time, it has been 11 goals to 1.
Unfortunately, the South players are just standing off their opponents. They're not prepared to actually go and stand half a metre from their man, though they're giving them 5, 6, 7 metres.
Ball thrown in, clears both ruckmen. At the back, an opportunity for McLaren. Spears it short into the centre of the ground. Mott on the half volley. Feeds the hand pass off to Sean Robinson. Goes very poorly up towards half forward. The mark taken by Maloney. Subiaco can rebound round the members' side. This is Toya. Kicked 4 goals in the 3rd quarter. Doesn't use it particularly well on that occasion. Thornton leads back in defence for South Fremantle. Tackled well by Cossum. Taken to ground and will have a bounce.
Well, what does John Northey do, Wayne? I mean, it's a very disappointing performance this afternoon.
The first thing I'd do, Phil, is actually find out who's on Luke Toya, because how can you be 50 metres in the clear on your own?
Here he is again, Toya, after that ball was palmed down toward him. Coughs the ball up. Chance now for one of the shining lights for South Fremantle in Jones. Got a hand pass away. Eventually it's Atkins who ends up with it. He got it from Surge, and the Atkins kick again lacked definition. Gilmore was taken down. Jukovic stylishly picks it up. Hand pass off to Godden. He found it difficult to control. Doswell went in. He couldn't get a possession either, and eventually the umpire will ball it up.
Terrific effort there by Godden. And he spilt the ball. He was on all fours and then pounced on an opponent to force a neutral contest.
Yes, he's been around the game for a long, long time. Tony Godden managed 130 games for Subiaco. And of course, as Glenn said, some with Fremantle Dockers and some with West Coast Eagles as well. The ball taken by Webb, and one of the players of the match again this afternoon, Toya. Ditto. The ball knocked away from him. Will he keep it in play? He does. Michael Braun, his hand pass smothered though by Atkins. And we'll see it thrown back into play. Braun has got amongst the possessions. I think he had 20 to 3/4 time, so the West Coast Eagles match committee would be happy with that. Being picked up by Ashley Hutchison, playing his 100th match this afternoon, and one of the more forgettable ones certainly for South Fremantle. Robinson roved it cleverly, kicked it to the half-forward line, taken by Miller, shares it with Jukovic. And now Richard Maloney, who's just mopped up ceaselessly across half-back this afternoon. A diving effort taken by Nikoski. been used on and off the bench, but he's done some good things. Miller certainly didn't take that one cleanly. That was a mistake by Subiaco. Gilmore got it off to Jones. Great tackle by Godden. Again, in the twilight of this match and in the twilight of his career, Tony Godden is setting the standard for hard work in the Subiaco ranks. Forced the ball up. Just when it looked as though South Fremantle might have gone forward and made a rare sortie inside their 50, Ricky Mott won the knot. Taken by Braun, tried to work his way through the pack. In the end, did very, very well. In the end, it was Bootsma who was his nemesis. Surgeon got a hand pass away to Hutchison. He drives the ball into the pocket. That was better football by South Fremantle. Webb was the target, couldn't take it. Here's a chance for Doswell, taken by Maloney. Subiaco's tackling still very good, but the ball alive for South. Hutchison quickly onto the boot. Miller got a hand pass up. Hutchison knocked it down to Smithers, who hasn't seen a lot of the footy. Now he's clear. Smithers can kick on goal and does finish well. So some ironic cheers from South Fremantle supporters as South Fremantle belatedly bring up their 8th goal. 8 goals, 755, but Subiaco have this match well and truly in their keeping. 19 goals, 13, 127.
Well, in the end, South got the goal through Ray Smithers, but no doubt, as you watch the replay, you have a look at all the loose ball situations there, and every time South player was going to actually try and get possession, he had a Subiaco player wearing him like a glove. And the tackling of Subiaco, they nearly forced it out of bounds. That is the difference between the two teams. They did get the goal, and they need a few more.
Ball back in the middle. Neither ruckman are able to get a hand on it, but Webb came and it hits the ground. Runs to centre half forward. Goes inside 50. Smith on the half volley. Was he pushed in the back? No whistle. Opportunity there for Doswell. Couldn't gather. Ercegovic taps it out. In the end, they work it out there towards Surgeon. Surgeon in turn to McLaren. South Fremantle off half-back. McLaren takes a bounce. Needs to be quick now. Goes short around the outer side. Well picked up by Ugle. Hand pass back to Surgeon. Left foot kick up towards half-forward. Maloney works his way in front of Gilmore. Supported by Nikoski, who kicks into the goal scorer. Smithers gets the loose ball. Goes to the attacking 50. Opportunity here, but leaving the ball behind was Jones. Now he has a second attempt. Pulled off his hand pass. Jukovic, with a telescopic arm, reins the ball in with the left hand to Featherby. Back to Jukovic. Former Collingwood and Essendon player. Goes towards Smith on the lead. Clears him. Ambrose and Atkins, a foot race at the back. Can Ambrose get a goal? He can't. Marty had a couple of attempts to try and force it through for a behind. Didn't make clean contact on either of them. And then Tinsley, after 2 bounces, goes towards Ercegovic.
Made for good TV though, Glenn, as Ercegovic clears the ball over centre. Maloney at full stretch, couldn't drag that one in. Jones had it and then lost it, and now Pickett, who's been a star for Subiaco this afternoon, goes short and finds Cossum, who's also been very busy. Finds an unmarked Neil Marshall, lays it off to Webb, who's been another of their prolific ball winners, shoots on goal and misses. So Subiaco, again, just all too easily sharing the ball around. Webb has had no trouble finding the footy this afternoon.
He's been a very good player, but I have been very impressed with Subiaco's tackling and pressure that they've placed on them. Certainly, especially their defence across half-back. The aggression that Richard Maloney has shown across that area of the ground has been first-rate, and he has been an inspiration across there.
Marty Atkins looking into the westerly sun. Goes short, goes along the ground. Tinsley gets it under pressure, could almost be penalised. Given a bit of latitude, hand pass away. Beattie steals it. Can he become the first 5-goal kicker this afternoon? Not with that effort. It goes away and then takes a very fickle bounce. It almost opened the opportunity for Smith. He still gets the footy. Under pressure, hand pass to Beattie. He'll have another go at kicking his 5th. Still doesn't get it. The mark taken in the last line for South Fremantle by Robinson. They come out wide. And away goes Doswell after a bounce. Kicks to the logo on the wing. Gilmore almost marked overhead. Marshall the crumbs. Cossum still plenty of pace late in the game. Toya, he can line up for 5. Opts to share it. Goes to Beattie. He'll have another go. Anthony Beattie's going to get his 3rd attempt in about 60 seconds to become the first player to kick 5 goals. At the moment, he, Brad Smith, Luke Toya and Alastair Pickett all have 4 goals for the Lions. The margin currently stands at 73 points. Beattie, who kicked 2 goals inside the first 7 minutes of the game, lining up for his 5th. Dead in front, 45 metres out. He's going to have to try again. 18.5 minutes into this final quarter. He's got 4 goals, 3.
Well, not much joy inside the coach's box. We see Sean Menegola on the left.
Todd, I
beg your pardon. Todd Menegola on the left.
And Davies.
Yes, foremost Fremantle player, Chris
and
Davies.
Subiaco,
The Subiaco player, you're quite right. McLaren goes straight down the middle of Subiaco over with a long kick. Taken at the back of the pack there. It was a mark to Ricky Mott, who played on. Goes to centre half forward. Maloney's there again using some strong body work. Goes to ground. Has the footy. Then dispossessed. Gilmore, he also is dispossessed, and it goes always destined to end up back with Maloney, who shrugged a tackle. It looked as though it was around the neck, but somehow he found Godden. He got the ball off to Ryan, and Subiaco out of trouble again all too easily. Pickett's involved in the middle of the ground. He goes out very wide towards centre wing and finds Brad Smith. Might have been on his way to the bench, I'm not too sure, but he's a long way from home.
Players everywhere for
Short
Subiaco.
to Neil Marshall, who started in defence and spent a lot of time in defence. His short pass has been marked there by Chad Cossum. He wants to go short into the pocket, and now Luke Toyer has a chance to become the first player to kick 5 goals in this match. Well, he's given plenty of opportunities to Anthony Beattie, and Luke Toyer probably thinks, well, I might as well do it myself.
Well, they're under no pressure. They could really raffle it and have a contest between now and the end of the game to see who can finish with that 5th goal. 26 possessions now to Luke Toyer. 4 goals. Brad Smith was on his way to the bench. Got caught up in the action. And Toyer will shoot at goal from a bit more than 40 metres. That's a tired kick. Luke Toyer has certainly covered a lot of ground this afternoon. It's been a great performance, and one that, when you think of some players of his ilk playing for the Fremantle Dockers who haven't been in great form, it certainly will be a performance that will catch the eye of the Fremantle Match Committee.
So Fremantle restart, and the mark taken by McLaren, making his debut for the Bulldogs. Short, Bootsma, a long way from his debut. Game number 125 as he comes out very wide to the members' side. He's been a good player today, Gilmore, and he couldn't mark that one in front of Nikoski. And we'll have a throw in on the members' wing. 75-point margin to Subiaco. And when you think it was a 16-point lead to the Lions at half-time, it was that dominant third quarter when they kicked 9 goals 2-2 behinds that blew the game open. Across the body goes Braun. Fickle bounce. Pap gathers. Will go inside 50. Coming out, Tinsley in defence. Marks on his chest. Plays on. Dragged down as he kicks. That's enough to put him off. Ryan gathers. Hand pass to Pickett. He's got 4 goals. Slips to his knees. Hand pass to Webb. Good pickup. It was an awkward delivery. The South Fremantle able to go from half-back. Surge and a high kick. Smithers works his opponent Maloney under the ball cleverly. Plays on by hand. This is Doswell, Fremantle listed player, making his debut for the Bulldogs. Goes to full forward, and the mark has been taken by the former West Perth 100 gamer Ryan Webb.
Well, the transition from moving that ball from back to front was all from 4 players tackling Alistair Pickett. It will be one of the very first times of the game that we've seen pack tackling from South Fremantle.
Ryan Webb played 111 games for West Perth. He stabs at that one, but he gets it inside the left goal post. South Fremantle get their 3rd goal of the final term.
And certainly not enough contributors from South Fremantle's point of view. Ryan Webb certainly one of those players, but he's certainly not on his own. A lot of South Fremantle players really need to lift their rating after this game. The following weeks they need to improve dramatically. Really, South Fremantle, what I can see, have really only had 2 or 3 contributors, Brad Bootsma being one, Daniel Gilmore and possibly Matthew Klukas.
Subiaco by 11.5 goals. East Perth beating Peel by upward of 15, 16 goals. So a veritable thrashing this afternoon. Peel really have some problems at the moment with Scott Simister looking as though he's walked out on the club. This is Surgeon from centre wing driving the ball to the half-forward line. Nikoski and Gilmore have had a pretty good duel, but Gilmore possibly the master, taking another strong mark. He's kicked 3. But they were all in the first half as Gilmore goes into the pocket. Flyers, none successful. Maloney again at ground level. Gets support from McKay. He gives it up though to Bootsma, who threw it onto his right boot. Adams has taken a strong mark for South Fremantle. Well, some belated goals for South Fremantle perhaps in this match, but when the match really had to be won, when it was at its hardest, Subiaco, I should say, were much harder at every contest. Just a young man and a chance to bring up a badly needed goal for South Fremantle. Not very convincing off the boot. It did wobble a bit, but it only had to go through between the two big uprights. It did that, and South Fremantle have made it to double figures. They're 10 goals, 767. Subiaco 19, 16, 130. We've gone nearly 24 minutes into the final term.
And here's only a young man, Theo Adams, 18 years of age, from Bibra Lake, but a consolation goal there for he. And when you talk about Subiaco, the game had to be won, and it was won certainly in that third quarter. They had the luxury of being able to take off their big ruckman, who has been very impressive today, Phil, in David Lucas, and he's virtually been off the ground for the last quarter and a half.
Mott rucking here against Miller. Mott wins it down, taken though by Pickett, the Sandover medalist. Creative hand pass to Toya. He just waited for an opening. He gave it to Braun, who wasn't really open. He was wrapped up by the man who kicked the goal a moment ago, Theo Adams, and we'll have another bounce in the centre square. Some Lions supporters who will go home pretty happy. Their team will remain undefeated after the first 7 rounds of the season. So too East Perth, although the Royals, who are nearly 100 points in front of Peel Thunder today, did start the season with a draw. But, technically, of course, still undefeated. This is Ugle running away from the congestion at centre-half back. Kicks to a vacant centre-half forward area. Maloney, interesting. Soccer's off the ground. One bounce, out of play.
And a player we haven't seen much of today, Glenn, Kieran Ugle.
No, South Fremantle have had a few missing in action today. Ricky Mott arrives with Miller to do the ruck work in the 26th minute of the final term. 63-point margin in favour of Subiaco. Surgeon, high kick, awkward one. Beattie back there, and he takes the mark. To Maloney by hand. Running off the full back line is Jukovic. He goes out wide to the outer side, and Wooden takes the mark. He runs back infield, left foot kick. Looking there for Ambrose, had to prop. At the back, Pap tried to soccer it forward, didn't make contact. Ambrose, hand pass knocked off his palm by Ercegovic, who then soccers it out wide. Thornton keeps it in play, was named as an emergency for Fremantle this week. And he's slung out of play by Ambrose, will have a boundary throw in.
Scott Thornton, a far cry from playing with the Fremantle Dockers, named as an emergency, but on the end of a veritable Subiaco thrashing this afternoon. The ball came down to Braun from just a step. He kicks it very, very high, inside 50. The ball comes down to Tony Godden. He got it in the end from Gardner. The Godden kick goes up toward full forward. Ercegovic did well enough, opposed to Neil Marshall, to force the ball through for a behind. So Peter German's really throwing his team around in this last quarter. He's had Lucas off the ground. Beattie, who's been a goal scorer, has gone down into the defensive zone. Marshall, who was an outstanding defender, has gone up forward.
Yeah. But good to see a South Fremantle defender, Dean Ercegovic, actually being as close as he was and able to get his fist in there and provide a good spoil.
Tinsley looking for options. Goes out very wide to the outer back pocket. And the mark taken out there by Dean Ercegovic. Played a lot of reserve games early in his career for South Fremantle before getting a regular slot in the league side. Goes towards centre-half back. Oh, Pickett must have heard footsteps because he ducked his head and fisted it away. Could have really tried to mark it. Braun to Godden. Godden chips it inside 50. Pap can't get there to mark. Ercegovic tracking him and the ball towards the boundary line. Ercegovic gathers in the end. Hand passes to Tinsley. Tinsley goes short, but the mark taken by Chad Cossum. Thought about coming inboard to Ambrose. Decided against it. Chad Cossum, 1 goal so far this afternoon. Came at the 14-minute mark of the first quarter. Subiaco, in fact, haven't kicked a goal here in the last 18 minutes of play. Cossum, from 48 metres, goes long and goes left. Another behind.
Subiaco supporters, young and old, have really enjoyed this demolition of South Fremantle this afternoon, as again it's Tinsley shielding his eyes from the sun to kick the ball back into play. Subiaco scarves out in numbers. Tinsley's kick this time finds its mark. Away goes Bootsma, still trying hard with a long kick, penetrating kick well over the centre of the ground. Featherby just couldn't make it stick. Smithers soccers the ball further afield for South Fremantle. Coming out there is Hay, managed to get it onto his boot. Jones taken in a Maloney tackle. What a good tackle it was, vigorous as always. And the free kick is going to go to Richard Maloney. When he tackles you, you know you've been tackled. As the siren goes, on a high note for Subiaco, a convincing victory to the Lions. 19 goals, 18, 132 points, defeating South Fremantle, 10 goals, 7, 67. And that margin is 66 points.